Hello lovely people, today I'm going to make something extremely delicious. I mean, we always make something delicious, but today we're going to make something that I really like, and that is combining my love for cheesecake with my love for red velvet cake and putting it into my favorite tin, that's the bundt cake. So I'm going to make a red velvet swirl cheesecake bundt cake. How amazing is that? So let's get started. We're going to start with the actual cheesecake part because that needs to go to the side. We're kind of making two parts, and for the cheesecake part we're going to use some cream cheese. It needs to be full fat proper cream cheese because we don't want to have anything that's less than full fat. We're going to go all out in town anyway, so we may as well go full fat. Pop that in, and then I've got some icing sugar, some flour, and I'll pop them all in. You can make your own icing sugar, of course, really easy to do that in the Thermomix and use that. An egg, I always use large eggs for my recipes, so always go for a large egg. And then we have some vanilla bean paste. If you haven't got that, and if you don't know what this is, go find my video on vanilla bean paste. I'll pop that into the description for you, a little link. And I'll pop in about a teaspoon of that. It just really enhances the flavor. And then we're gonna add in a little bit of lemon juice, just a little squeeze is all you need, because it really brings out the flavor in your cheesecake. And then we're going to mix it all up. Now that it's mixed, I'm going to pop that into a separate bowl, and look at that yumminess. Lovely cheesecake mixture. You can actually already spoon that one out as it is and really eat it. But you just pop that into a separate little bowl for now, and there's no need to clean your Thermomix. Just be very careful with the mixing. We don't want to actually over mix this, because cheesecake mixture tends to get really nice and thin when you overmix it, and that totally defeats the purpose of a cheesecake. And so we just want to make sure we don't ever go on a high setting when you are mixing cheesecake. Never kind of go above 3 to 4, and that really helps keeping the stability of your cheesecake mixture. And now we're going to just make the rest of the cake. So this is going to be for your actual red velvet cake mixture, and it's again super simple because we're just going to pop everything in. I'm going to start with my eggs. Just crack your eggs in. Got large eggs again, so always make sure you use large eggs. If you use smaller eggs, it's just that you probably won't have enough liquid, and it probably won't be as fluffy because eggs weigh differently. So just go for large eggs if you can. And then I'm going to pop in a load of sunflower oil, vegetable oil. Those two oils you can use. I wouldn't actually opt for coconut oil in this one because it doesn't give it the right texture. You need a texture to be really good and spot on. You're gonna go for some buttermilk, and I've been asked this a lot actually. Can you use your own homemade buttermilk? The answer is, well, no, not for this one. It's the same with scones. Buttermilk that's homemade tends to be quite liquid and doesn't actually give it the exact texture that we need, and we need it to react as well with your red velvet cake ingredients. So do try and stay away from the homemade buttermilk on this one. Enjoy it as it is anyway. I've got some bicarb of soda, some sugar. The bicarb of soda goes really well in red velvet cheesecake because we want to encourage the acidity to really form, and also bicarb of soda goes really well with vinegar and reacts, and so forms a really good cake. I've got some Dutch cocoa powder. It's a little bit darker than normal cocoa powder, so if you can get it really good. Again, vanilla bean paste, so you can see I use that a lot actually. I'm almost out of it actually. I'm going to make a new one soon. And then we're going to pop in some flour. I've got normal plain flour for this one. There's no need to go anything else. This is called plain flour, cake flour, all-purpose flour. That's the kind of flour that we want to go for right now because we want to have very little gluten. Last two things, a little teaspoon of white wine vinegar. I didn't have any white wine, so I just used cider vinegar instead. That'll do the trick, as long as it's a light vinegar, nothing dark. And then we're going to go for a lovely bit of food coloring. You don't have to do this if you don't want it red naturally. It's fine, but if you want to really go for the red look, I actually have gel food coloring. That's the best one you can use, and it's actually called Velvet Red, so it's going to give me the right sort of color. And I'm going to go for a nice little chunk of it and just pop that in, and then I'm going to mix it up and see what it looks like. Right, so you're ready for the ultimate cake batter. It looks so good. It looks super yummy. Look at that. It's really nice, and it's got some nice red color. And again, if you don't like it, it will just probably be brown because it's got cocoa powder in it, but it's just going to be so delicious. So let me show you how I prepare my bundt tin. This is a 24 centimeter bundt tin. You could also do this in a normal cake tin if you like. You don't have to do it in a bundt tin. What I've done is actually greased it with some butter all around with my fingers. Now I've put some plain flour in it. All I do is sort of shake it around until it's nicely powdery and white all over. You can do this over the sink so that you don't have any rubbish to clear up after. And then for the last bits, because you know that little bit here is still sort of not covered, I kind of just flick it up like that. This is years of practice. This is my grandma actually made this cake with me, a bundt cake with me every single weekend. So I practice this every single weekend, and she always made me grease it because you know what? That's the thing that children do. And I'm just gonna pop it in the bin, and you should be left with something like this. And now we're gonna pop in our cake mixture. So pour in about half of your cake mixture nicely into your bundt tin. Really lovely. Oh, this looks so delicious already. I can just eat it. And then you're gonna put this cream cheese cheesecake mixture sort of on top. Be really careful that it doesn't incorporate too much. And sort of drop it in nice and carefully, leaving a little bit on the edge of the normal cake batter. You see it kind of drop it into the center rather than on the outer edges. That just means that you've got a proper swirl pattern later on. And now it's gonna cover it with the rest of the cake batter. Again, just go nice and carefully and gently. You don't want to go too fast because you don't want it all to just sink in together. You're just covering the cheesecake now. And that's it. Once it's done, I'm going to give it a little swirl and then it goes in the oven. And I'm just going to go in with my skewer to sort of create a little bit of a swirl. See, I'm just sort of doing a zigzag. That's all it is really. You don't want to go any more than that. And now the cake's gonna go in the oven to bake nice and golden. So we'll pop it in for about an hour, probably at 180. See how that goes. And of course, check always with your skewer whether it's actually cooked. Once it's cooked, fully cooked, and there's nothing left on your skewer, you take it out and you leave it to cool all the way. I know it's hard, but please resist. It's time to take the Red Velvet Cheesecake swirl out. My God, it's so, it smells incredible. So that's what it looks like now. That's a monster of a cake. And I'm gonna pop it on the cooling rack now, and then I'm going to leave it in its tin for at least 15 to 20 minutes before I turn it out onto the cooling rack. That's a really crucial step when making cheesecake, swirl, anything, or bundt cake, because otherwise it will deflate and you don't want that because you want to keep this height. So keep it as it is for 15-20 minutes, resist it, and then turn it over onto the cooling rack to leave it to cool completely. I know it's hard, but just do it. I've given it some time to cool and now I actually can't wait any longer, so I'm gonna ice it and then we can cut right into it because we're all quite excited to see what that looks like, aren't we? So I've got a little bit of icing sugar here and some more cream cheese. There's really no need to take your Thermomix out for this one unless you want to save yourself, 3 seconds of work right now. And it's just basically popping these ingredients together in a bowl with a squeeze of lemon juice, and then we're just going to use our fork to combine it, and then we're going to put it right over, drizzle it nicely. So I'm just going to take my fork and then just whisk it up a little bit. And now I'm just going to take the mixture and sort of give it a light little drizzle everywhere. And you can just go for it. Sprinkle it any way you like. There you go. You can also pipe it, totally up to you really. If you like it messy or clean, just pour it over. There we go. Can I show you what that tastes like? Mmm. No words, just perfection. That's proper. So if you want to make this, go ahead and make it because it's so good. And I'll see you guys next time for another video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell button, guys. See ya.